notice the fluidity as the sled pulls away, and that's the simulation that follows the sled along. Again, it's, oops, I just broke it apart. I apologize. Let's get off the line a little bit faster here. So again, you notice the skids and the sort of the physical simulation that happens on it. You know, as you apply more thrust, all of these sort of elements start moving around. That's the shock that comes up. We'll pass this bridge, and as we pass by, the thrust of the sled, you know, destroys the bridge. Go into this canyon, and at the end of it, there is inevitably a cliff, and we go right off of that, and eventually blow up. And some of the interesting elements. So Mark was talking about the bridge, right? How we can explode the bridge, and you see some of the debris that comes off of it. And again, you know, it sort of nicely folds it into the canyon. You can see the fall along. And the element that he was doing with 1,000,000 particles, I mean, it is ridiculous, but we have to do it. So let me bring up some sliders here so we can actually adjust how much of the stuff is displayed. Kind of get out of this mode here. So let's reset this bridge and see, okay, well, it's at 10,000 particles. Let's try, I don't know, 250,000, see what that looks like. And that's obviously ridiculous. I'll be the first one to admit it, right? But it's just, why don't we simulate all this stuff? I mean, it almost looks like a waterfall out in the distance. You know, 250,000. Why don't we crank that number even higher? You know, let's see what we can make more of these things. And
that's ridiculous.
That's 500,000, right? That's absolutely unnecessary, and yet, you know, we could do it. So why not? Let's reset it again, and let's try 1,000,000 particles.
You're crazy.
It goes a little bit slower. It's ridiculous, right? But I mean, it allows us, you know, GF100 allows us to actually simulate all this stuff and display all this stuff. And if you notice, they're not, you know, they're not simple things. I mean, they're not sprites. They're boxes. You know, and as these boxes fall along, again, you can see kind of the amount of them, the massiveness of the kind of stuff that, you know, ends up piling up in these canyons. Just go back to the bridge again.
So as we played with this, it's giving us lots of ideas of, I mean, this is falling like a waterfall or sand. Or
yeah, it's practically
tons of ideas what we can do with this kind of simulation.
So 100,000 seems like a more sane number that you can actually still kind of see a lot of that still almost fluid-like motion of all this, you know, stuff falling off, as well as kind of the interesting effects happening. So let me show you some of the other sort of little interactive things that we've done. I'll just hide this menu here. And I guess let's time around. Let's actually attempt to run this thing in stereo. Let me reset our demo. So, all right.
You pass some of these around.
All right. So some of the.
Thanks, you may have to push the little.
You guys may have to get a little bit closer to this. Make
There you
sure.
go. Anybody?
Anybody else?
Now, did you get trained on these already? There's a little button.
Make sure the green light's on.
Button on the
Yeah.
left side.
So again, some of the more interesting elements, as you kind of look at this demo, is to actually observe all the detail that doesn't necessarily show up, you know, on the screen in 2D. That you can actually see a lot of the kind of detailed work that went into designing this element, these models, right? So again, this kind of this seed, right? A lot of the sort of dimensionality that goes to it, right? I mean, you could, you know, kind of along this here, we can push this splitter, you know, the spoiler out of the screen. You know, some of the sort of animation on the character, and let's do that a little bit. Let's focus just on his face and see what happens to him as he flies along on this track. So as you gain speed, notice his face starts distorting more and more. And he dies because I forgot to reset the bridge and we just crashed into it. Again, Mark mentioned that everything in this demo is sort of put together piece by piece. So everything in this sled is interactive, so we can actually break it. So the way we break it is by throwing chickens at it. So you notice we knocked off the seat, we can knock off this cone, and so you see it dance actually as we throw these chickens at it, the cone dance. Throw enough of them there. Also notice the feathers, they're part of the same particle system that gets simulated on the GPU. You know, let's sort of completely take it apart. We can take off these skids, you know, let me just, they're a little more sturdy. There we go. So broke off the skids, but notice the sled is still somewhat interactive. So if we apply one of those thrusters, it will try to go and it will collapse. So let's try that. Let's see if one of our thrusters is still active, and it tears itself apart. Similar thing. Let's reset it and let's just sort of break the skids again. So my chickens are not working so well here.
Push it back.
So notice if the front skids are broken, we can still apply thrust and we can still try to get it going, but it doesn't really want to. It's really trying to, but it can't. And let's slow it down. Let's try to apply some of these boosters now that our skids are not in place. Let's actually break off that other one as well. All right, let's see. Thrust. And then, okay, let's go with a single booster. So a lot of this stuff is sort of fun, physical simulation elements that, again, I just put some barrels in there just so we can, demolish them. Oops, sorry, I wanted to. Again, you can sort of take off just the one side of these guys. Break off this. Break off the second side, and now the simulation will be even more interesting because it's really kind of just hooked up by these two skids and it's really trying to go.
Whoa! That was a good ride.
Alright, so I mean, again, we have this ejection seat. I wasn't focused on the pilot. I apologize. I'll go back to him. Let's do this. Let's do this right now. And you can sort of see some of the environment that we put together, and a lot of that sort of gives you some of the kind of depth and some of the perspective that we try to put into it. Alright, well let's do some of the tormenting. One of the things that Mark was mentioning, we can play with the ragdoll, and what I like doing is just getting out on the pilot and starting off with a couple of boosters and then making him a ragdoll. And then we can sort of try to collapse this sled, and we can slow down a little bit. And then go again. Alright, let's try that again. Let's just make him a ragdoll. Let's get the sled going backward and then really forward. Alright, let's go ragdoll. Let's go a little bit forward. Let's get him sliding off the sled a little bit. Let's again go a little bit further ahead. Wait for one booster to detach. And we just brake and stop the sled. And now get it going forward again.
Oh, that's so mean.
Some of the interesting stereoscopic effects we discovered playing with this. I don't actually want to destroy this bridge. Just as we sort of zoom in on it, you can see some of the complexity and some of the kind of interesting elements that we built into this bridge. You can kind of zoom in. Let me just see if I can do this a little bit more smoothly. Kind of zoom in on some of these pillars, and you can sort of appreciate, the depth and complexity that the 3D vision stereo gives you to kind of see what the bridge is like. And again, when we blow it up, we can sort of pause the simulation and just sort of go right into this massive debris and see kind of the, just exactly what is happening. So it's a lot easier to appreciate, just the amount of debris and things that are happening in the simulation.
Alex, can you show them a shack breakout?
Absolutely, that's the next thing on my list. So let's undo this and let's head over to the shack. So the shack here, as you go by it, the thruster on the sled actually collapses. So what we did is we also put some debris and some rubble into this element, so we can see kind of as it flies off towards the camera. So it gives you a nice little stereo effect. And see the sled kind of coming up there in the distance. I apologize.
Whoa.
I messed it
You
up.
took away the fun.
I did. I'll restart it and I'll do it again. Alright, let's see. Let's get it going again. Oops.
Yeah, the brake was stuck on.
Alright, let's see.
You want to slide that cursor down a little bit too.
Yeah, thank you.
Oops.
Alright,
Bunny's not having a
they'll
good
go
time.
again. Alright, here we go. This time we'll be lucky.
You'd think the guy that wrote this thing would be better at driving.
Yes. Alright, here we go. sort of appreciate some of the crap and debris flying towards you. And one of the other elements that we've done actually is we give you the ability to sort of place some of these crates around, and they're filled with chickens.
We like chickens.
Because why not? And so let's get this sled. Let's take the sled and ram it right into all this stuff. And as you pause this, you can sort of appreciate the three-dimensionality of all these feathers, and give you sort of a nice serene feeling of knowing that all kinds of virtual chickens were destroyed.
But no real chickens.
Alright, so let's restart this again.
Can you put some on the bridge and then?
Oh yeah. Let's go there. Actually, I guess I already put some in the first place. Let's just reset the whole thing. So let's go crates. Great. And in fact, let's just go from the pilot's person of view. I actually really like this particular camera because it gives you kind of the idea of, the perspective of the sled and sort of some of the sense of speed that you get moving forward. And again, notice as you accelerate, sort of all this sort of physical assembly moving together, sort of. That's the arch collapsing. These are our crates. What happened to them? I apologize. I
missed them.
Okay, let's do this again.
I think you reset.
I may have reset. Let's just go to the bridge and put some more crates. There's no lack of crates here. Okay, let's go back to our pilot and let's get going there. Again, this is some of the motion blur that Mark was talking about. Sort of as you get up to speed, you can start seeing some of the environment blur behind you. I don't know what happened to them.
They disappeared.
Hey, Alex, I hate to move over to the other
Okay.
demo.
All right, guys. Thank you.